Hey y'all, welcome back. Welcome back. It is me, Britt Reacts, and today, after about almost 3 weeks maybe, we have a part 3 to the Buffalo Public School System saga on the Unsubscribe podcast. The boys are back together on the update video. They were all in their respective places doing a kind of virtual update, but now they are all back at what it seems to be the round table, and you guys have told me this is in San Antonio. So the title of this one is Alarming Proof: Buffalo Schools Exposed for Hiding Child Abuse Evidence. Unsubscribe podcast episode 214. Let's just get right into it, why don't we? All right. I was tipped off by a subscriber last night that this video was going to go live today at noon, and like clockwork, it went up today at noon. It is Saturday, May 24th at 2:13 that I'm filming this. I saw it came up. I went ahead and commented, take the high road. I hadn't watched it yet because we're going to watch it together. It is an hour and 24 minutes. I'm going to do my best to just do a lot of watching and do a little less talking for time's sake. So maybe I should, matter of fact, let me get my notebook out so I can take notes. So when I do pause to talk, I can talk about all of my points. Whoa, there goes my Stanley. While I do that, I want to let you guys know that we have raised so far $1,426 in the month of May. If you don't know, I pledged any and all donations that come through, whether it's Cash App, PayPal, or super chats or super thanks. Super chats, I think they're super thanks. Is that what they're called here on YouTube? All of that money will be collected and then donated. YouTubers get paid the following month on the 21st. So I will be donating all of the money that we raise from my channel, and you know, proceeds for this will go to a locally, I don't know why I'm already emotional. A local organization here in Buffalo. It's called Bury the Violence. When I was doing my own research and kind of just trying to get some information, she kept popping up. The lady that started this foundation. Her name is Karima Morris, and it helps find missing and runaway children and young adults and other just unfortunate things that happen here in Buffalo. So she kept popping up, and I just really love what she stands for. She's actually up for Women of the Year honoree from New York, which is wild. I will make sure to link her website, but it's btvbuffalo.org if you're interested in taking a look. But that is where we're going to donate our money. So you still have a chance if you want to. Listen, there's no amount that is too small. And even if you don't have any money to give, just spreading the word and making people aware that this is going on is more than enough. It is invaluable. There is not a price tag on that. If you're watching this, you know what's going on. If not, I implore you to log out and go watch all 3 episodes on the Unsubscribe podcast. I am simply reacting to it. I live in the Buffalo area. My daughter is homeschooled because when we moved here, everyone informed us and warned us not to put her in a Buffalo public school. And that now rings louder than anything. I'm like, well, God just was watching out for us because I decided to homeschool her for the first time ever. So anyway, I'm going to do a lot of listening. We'll watch together, and I have my handy dandy notebook and pencil to make notes so that when I do pause, I don't forget all of my thoughts. Without further ado, here are the gentlemen of the Unsubscribe podcast. It's buffering, of course. Come on. I know it's long, but guys, this is wild. Why is this happening?
And then,
all right, now I'm going to rewind it and start over. Only me.
Accountability? Buffalo Public School System?
Sounds like justice is being obstructed.
They're just clipping couple-second segments out.
Wow,
So,
I wonder what that's like.
speaking of that, you guys want to sue one of the news channels?
Oh, get ready for
I built an entire case to sue one of the news channels.
Nick unfolds the binder of doom.
You get what you deserve.
Say hi to Eli. He's racially ambiguous. And Brandon His hair is fucking fabulous. Donut, a dark joke disposition, and there's a fat electrician. Welcome to Unsubscribe.
Did we do the pop for this one? Did
Was
we pop
that
the top
new?
for this one?
I've
Yeah,
never seen
for
that.
Ed.
For Ed. Oh, yeah, we
Oh,
did
yeah.
do it for
Opening
Ed.
song.
That
Was it-
poor
what
guy's
is it,
like,
Dranch?
It's finally
He's such a
over.
piece of shit.
It's Ed Dranch.
I think it's Ed Dranch.
Yeah. You Ed.
Ed Duranch.
DRA. I think Dranch.
The D is silent.
Ed.
No, it's not.
On the count of Ed. 1, 2, Ed.
Ooh, do we have wine glasses?
I love it. They're 10
Yeah, we
toes
should be
down
classy.
on
We
the
should
white
put this
claw.
Do we have a
Wine
wine
glasses.
glass? I should put this in a wine glass like the Buffalo School Board member.
Is there any up there?
That's okay, though. That makes it fancy.
That's
Also,
right.
yeah, try not to burp.
It's okay. I'm on a podcast where I'm supposed to be drinking. She's in a school board meeting open to the public, drinking cranberry juice out of a wine glass that she slams and then proceeds to flip off the camera screaming, "F you bitch."
Which was
dude.
fucking crazy. Like, I thought it was an exaggeration
No.
when you sent it. It's exactly what happened.
Yep, that's exactly. And the best part,
What?
just so you know that Buffalo School Systems is like super into like telling the truth and doing the right thing. The school board member, when she got called out on it by the other school board members, you want to know what she did?
Denied it.
She said, "That's not true, and I'm looking at pursuing legal action against that fellow school board member for slandering me."
That's crazy because just recently they said
That's
that's
a
not
Karen,
true and
folks.
we're thinking of pursuing legal action.
Wait,
Yeah, I
that
know.
was about me, though, about the thing that I said. That's
I
true.
know. And then you know what happened? The video came out. And then she apologized. And then everybody got mad and
Where
said,
is
"You need to
this?
forgive her because she said sorry. And we can't hold adults accountable for their actions, apparently."
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unsubscribe Podcast. I'm joined today by Eli Doubletap, Fat Electrician, our good friend Angry Cops, who has a lot to talk about, Brandon Herrera, myself, Talent Operator. Thank you so much for being here.
You missed his binder.
Nick's Binder,
A special appearance.
gigantic fucking binder.
Be the bigger bully. Today's episode, we're going to have Rich. This is going to conclude.
All right. This one, I'm not going to be able to not pause. I'm sorry. I had to go find this video.
Project. I spoke at a community meeting.
Oh.
I spoke once again at
That was all this that we discussed could have been discussed when the resolution is on the table. That was my assumption. And even
Don't do
red
that.
was where I realized that there's some things going on. The reason I did not
Oh, she's sipping.
a community meeting. I spoke once again at
Paulette
all
Woods.
this that we discussed could have been discussed when the resolution is on the table. That was my assumption. And even red was where I realized that there's some
Finish it, girl. Chug it.
The reason I did not communicate with you since
I always welcome additional conversation.
we already settled we were going to have
Oh, no, it's Hope,
bring it up again.
not Paulette. Hope is the one.
We have a board member that's giving people the middle finger on a screen.
No, it is Paulette.
What?
There was a board member that was just swearing and giving the middle finger to everybody on the screen.
I have additional conversation about. I always welcome additional conversation.
We already settled we were going to have no reason to bring it up again in another conversation.
I've seen enough.
Member that's giving people the middle finger.
I've seen enough. I've seen enough. I've seen enough. These are representatives, people. These are board members who are voted in, people.
Be the bigger bully. Today's episode, we're going to have Rich. This is going to conclude everything or get hopefully everything in the right direction as we, Nick unfolds the binder of doom, his 3-ring war book.
But real quick, we since we were already on it, homegirl that denied.
Yeah, editor, I'll get you the video. Go ahead and throw up the video of the Honorable Paulette
They pulled it up
Woods
for me.
slamming
I should've
her
just kept
glass of
going.
wine, then flipping off the school board and saying, "Shut the f up, bitch," repeatedly. She then goes on to say that never happened and I'm going to sue whoever says I did it. And then the video comes out and she's like, "I'm sorry," on a podium. This is also, I can get you the video for this too. She's at the podium and she does her
Oh, she's like
apology.
4'12".
Then she has her bishop come up, or like her priest or pastor, or religious leader, whatever.
Of course.
He comes up and starts screaming at the audience and is like, she apologized and you guys need to accept this. This is nothing more, this is their quote, this is nothing more than the high-tech lynching.
It is unacceptable that after giving an apology to our colleagues and constituents, that you choose to do a public high-tech lynching of a black woman.
Which is a wild fucking thing to say.
Yeah.
As somebody that's read a ton of historical accounts of black war heroes who fought in World War II that literally had their fathers or uncles or brothers go through something like that, and then for you to equate that, just the unjustified, lawless killing of somebody for the color of their skin, to people being upset that you were in a school board meeting saying, shut the up bitch, is flipping off the camera while drinking is fucking disgusting, and that alone should disqualify you from overseeing the education of children.
What she's still on the board.
She's still on the board.
She's still on the board.
Of course.
She's a board member. She's a sitting board member.
Was she the spokesperson when everything first came out, when they had that big meeting, that initial meeting?
That was the superintendent. I forget her name. It's hyphenated.
I forget her name is hyphenated.
It just is. It's like
I don't remember her name, but it's hyphenated.
Something or all. I don't know.
No, that's absurd to me because that's just basic general accountability.
Not with Buffalo schools, it's not.
Accountability? Buffalo public school system?
Like, this is a high-tech lynching. It's like, no, this is just us accusing you of something you were on camera doing.
Ma'am, there's video footage. This is a Wendy's.
Proof.
I don't know.
Where'd he go? Where do you let go?
Fucking absurd.
Yeah, so I guess where do you guys want to go from
Rich,
here?
give us an update on where you're starting right now. You've done like the podcast run, then now you're finally slowing down on that side. But what was the recourse, or what is everything happening now with you?
Okay, so it's been like what, 3 weeks? I think 3 full weeks. We're going into the fourth.
Yeah.
So it started off with our initial buzz, and then I went in right away to do an interview with Channel 7. They did a 27-minute long interview, and they only put up like 3 to 4 minutes of its entirety. That was it. The news attacked me for about 3 or 4 days.
Now, High has made headlines numerous times in the past. The Attorney General's office had found High had been, quote, repeatedly discourteous and unprofessional.
This is ridiculous.
What is this?
This is crazy. I'm listening to all these guys burp and just be absolutely foul.
You're looking at like the White Claws on the table.
And
is
so
alcohol involved here?
My
Where
first
are they?
thought is, okay, this can't actually be real.
I don't think there's ever been another case that has come out like this. It's so 2025, right? It comes out on the podcast and
bizarre.
And then our autistic army decided to show them they might want to reconsider coming after somebody that might be looking out for the welfare of children in the city of Buffalo, especially when we have a binder worth of information that we got just from OSINT, just from open source intelligence gathering.
Just wait until those FOIA requests start coming back.
Oh, yes. So
I hope they don't so I can sue them, actually.
It'll be great. So Nick starts doing the FOIA requests. I start getting calls from different news agencies. I'm not going on the local news anymore at all, unless it's the radio with David Bellavia, because he's been fantastic.
Yeah, he's amazing.
David Bellavia's got a radio show on WBEN.
Who's the other guy? Ben, I think, too.
Ben's on Channel 2.
Is he?
Yep.
But he's been doing good.
Ben Tees from the Buffalo News.
Nate Benson is on Channel 2. He's doing great. And then Ben T is with Buffalo News. He's also doing great.
Yeah, Ben's been very funny to watch, even just on Twitter or X or whatever. That's been very fun.
That's the one with the autistic army. We're like, let him through. Stop. We all stand to the side and
do not touch him.
Yeah, careful. He's a hero.
We're all standing at parade rest, double saluting.
So after the first week of like this onslaught of bullshit on coming towards me and me bearing the brunt of it, and then our army pushing back and saying, wait a second, why are you doing this? We should be looking into this. You shouldn't be shooting the messenger, even though he has a fantastic mug, which you can now get at Bunker Branding.
Need it.
And shirt.
I didn't even realize Nick had it on.
Down around pipe. So then
I didn't even realize.
Channel 2 special investigative reporter actually did a little bit of a deep dive and discovered that since 2021, there have been over 17,000 police calls to the city of Buffalo.
17,772.
To be exact. And
Get
about
specific,
54% of them fall under miscellaneous or information only, which is fine. If you get like a school board, or like, I don't know, like a school door was left open and it sounded the alarm, and you're like,
Right.
all right, miscellaneous or
Right.
alarm. It actually would go under an alarm call. Well, I stated originally that the schools were using these miscellaneous calls in order to cover up incidents of abuse on the children from either child on child or a child coming in and making a disclosure to the schools. Well, what do you know? Out of the past 4 major incidents that have gotten tons of news coverage
What were they
from the
classified
City of Buffalo
under?
public school system, one of them being a stabbing or a
Miscellaneous.
shooting at McKinley. One of them, I think, was a stabbing. There was an overdose incident and something else.
The teacher,
and the kidnapping.
The teacher gave the kids THC gummies, and the alleged kidnapping that he's
So,
now getting charged for.
Those-
They're all school other.
The crazy one was the one with the teacher that warned them about that door. They're like, hey, students are taking knives through this door.
The stabbing in Riverside.
Yeah, they're like, no, that's not a problem. Student gets fucking stabbed from a knife that was snuck in through that door, and then they denied it.
Oh, I have the footage, yeah. So in the footage, the teacher actually wrote up a thing, and I looked into him. He's the union rep for that school. Okay, so he wrote up a thing like, hey, I've had students bring in large knives into the school. They get them through school security because these schools have metal detectors or some screening process. They're getting them in through this door that's not locked and has a bad door. And he wrote every school board member and sent it to him repeatedly for, I believe it was like 19 months that he kept pushing it.
God.
Was the reply, "F you, bitch"?
He apparently in their process, you have to push it up the chain of command, and there's 3 levels to get something approved. The first level was denied, and that's just like your direct, I believe your direct administrator. He denied it. It's like, no, it's not a problem. He appealed it and pushed it up to the school board. No, it's not a problem. He appealed it and pushed it up to the school board, and the school board denied it. Then he was still pushing to have it reviewed a 3rd time, and then it's on the superintendent. Between the 2nd and 3rd time, the stabbing at Riverside happened. That he was trying to get the issue fixed before it became a potentially fatal issue. And then they magically approved it on the 3rd iteration after somebody had to get...
There is the superintendent's name, Tanya M. Williams. Tanya, she's the one I mentioned. Sorry, here I go, stopping the video. She's the one I mentioned about the Facebook, and she shut down her Facebook because she said she was being inundated with messages and comments, which, yeah, because...
get stabbed issue. And then they magically approved it on the 3rd iteration after somebody had to get stabbed.
Which is what he complains about. He says, this is reactionary.
Right.
Why are we reactionary?
Well, he calls it, because that recording was before the stabbing, or right after. And he goes, you guys had to wait until somebody got stabbed, just like I predicted. And sure enough, somebody got stabbed. Now you're going to approve it.
Yep.
And then the school board member has the balls to stand up there and be like, you never told us about this.
Oh, starts getting in a screaming match with him.
Yeah. And like all the other
you.
teachers give him a standing ovation as he's walking away. So I'll get the editor of the video. You can go ahead and play it. It's like 2 or 3 minutes. It's crazy.
I just want to be clear that all the time we spend here in this fantasy land world, when students at Riverside are getting stabbed, there's fights there every single day. 911 is called on a regular basis, and no one has even come into the school and had a meeting like this and talked to parents and talked to teachers and talked to our students and said, how can we protect? Excuse me, this is my time. This is my time,
You're going to receive more time, but
this is my time, sir.
If you would have came to me and told me a situation about a knife, at that point, I would have called the authorities and took the proper action with the
Okay, know what you asked me? I can refresh your memory if you want.
Mr. Hurd, the speaker has the floor.
I told you about the knife.
The speaker has the floor.
Thank you. I filed a grievance 19 months ago, and it was very detailed. In that grievance, I talked about how a student brought a knife in the side door. It's written in the grievance, which I sent to you all. Guess what? The student who, the non-student who stabbed the student in our school, guess what door they came in? That same door. And they were in the building that day, and no one even told us. The DA had to tell us on the news. We had to do our own investigation. So there's a student with most likely a weapon in our building, and no one's sharing that with us. I'm gonna say this. This district has done nothing, and I told you, what's it gonna take? Someone getting stabbed or shot to have someone come in the building And that's exactly what it takes, because no one has lifted a finger for security at Riverside High School. It's a dog and pony show every single time. You send in people for a week, it disappears, and then it's a disaster again. These kids and these teachers deserve better. And if you can't do the job, then all of you should have the dignity to resign and let someone else do it.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno.
All right, we're going to stop right here. That is a union leader. That is someone you want in charge of your union. That is a union leader. Yeah, just have the dignity to say, you know what? I dropped the ball. I did not do what I was supposed to do. And because I know that my job is to protect the children and the children haven't been protected, I'm going to step down. But do you think for a second, no, all those people out there in their ego, if you would have come to me and told me, I would have called the authorities. Like, sir, what he just said to you was, I warned you, but he didn't warn you that there was a knife. He warned you about a door that a knife could come through, and that wasn't good enough for you. You needed for there to be something to take action on rather than something be a precautionary measure, like doing it before. And we could have avoided all of this. These smug people who will literally come in and they probably ignore so much and they're just there for a paycheck. They hate their jobs. This is a huge part of the issue, is that 90% of the people in healthcare, or well, maybe healthcare, let me not go there, in any type of public school situation hate their jobs. They're underpaid, they're overworked, and they're bogged down. And so many things go undetected and unresolved and unaccounted for and because these people at the end of the day hate their jobs and they're just simply going there because they have to. That's a problem. All right. Since we stopped, I love the opening song. Is it new, or is it just that I've only watched those 2 very serious episodes and they haven't been doing the song? The song is fantastic. Shout out to them. The wine glass situation, guys. There is a time and there is a place, is all I'm going to say, right? And I think maybe she just felt very comfortable, and it just is so crazy. And what's even crazy to me is this lady has not stepped down or been pushed out. The pastor yelling, here's what I will say as someone who grew up in a very black religious upbringing, is that pastors just talk in that tone. They're always aggressively speaking. I don't think he was yelling. I think that's probably his normal passionate tone, but everything else I cannot speak for. I cannot vouch for. That is just the comparison to lynching, it being about her skin color, none of it. It's just an outrageous thing for anyone to do on a professional meeting, but especially a school board educational meeting. And I need to know what was really in that wine glass, because I'd be very unsurprised if it was whiskey and not wine. The bad door for 19 months, I won't. These are the things, like these simple things are the simple things that if you fix something so small could change the future. Literally, it's like a portal into the future. If they would have locked that door, that stabbing would have never happened. And probably countless other offenses that happen because of a door that a school janitor could have been given the right things to go in and fix. But it takes a 3-tiered system to even get approval to fix a door into a school. The same door we're talking about this creep walked into at the magnet school and almost abducted 2 children. We're talking about the ability to lock doors, and they can't even do that before something criminal happens. I tell you what. Okay, let us carry on.
So we go to that where Channel 2, the investigative reporter, pulls out the stats and says, hey, wait a second, look at these numbers. These are concerning. These 4 major cases were all intentionally mislabeled as something other than what they actually were, whether it be stabbing, shooting, overdose, etc. Then, I lost my train of thought. What happened after that? There was the 21 thing, and then, then that's right. Then the guy that did the attempted kidnapping of the 2 kids.
When was that?
Well, going back to the stabbing at Riverside, I believe, from what I can tell, there's been independent third-party investigations launched for the Riverside stabbing, and for the shooting at McKinley in 2022. Neither of those independent third-party investigations launched by the school board have been released to the public or the Buffalo PD or the legal
Because did it
system.
actually happen?
Who's the
At all.
third party in these situations?
Whoever they pick.
Yeah,
Right
that's
now
what
it's
I'm saying.
open. Any law firm can get on their website right now and apply to be the third party investigator. And I believe with the Riverside stabbing, I looked into it, and the law firm that they did then cited, assumingly they found results that they didn't like. So the law firm's like, well, this is actually attorney-client privilege, so we don't have to give this to you.
Is that their workaround so they can just do it
Yeah, so
that
this is a
way?
workaround. They're gonna say, oh, we're gonna do a third party independent investigation, and then once we have the results, if we don't like them, we're gonna claim it's attorney-client privilege and never mention it to the public, and the public's gonna forget about it by then.
This doesn't require an investigation. It's just fact.
Yeah.
Is the crazy part. What are you going to look into? It's going to take you a fucking afternoon if you're not clinically retarded.
Right. Yeah. And they had a 4.5-hour meeting the other day trying to appoint a special investigator. 4.5 hours, couldn't figure out who they were even going to have do the investigation.
Guys, when you leave your dogs at home, do you ever worry that they might find your firearm?
Damn, maybe the ATF is onto something. No, I never thought about that.
Introducing Stopbox.
Stopbox. I'm sure a lot of you guys and gals have a handgun for self-defense, as we all do. And if you do, it probably fits into one of two categories. It's locked up, but not within reach. Or it's just laying around where anybody could have access to it.
Well, Stopbox USA saw the problem, and they came up with the Stopbox Pro.
It's all mechanical, so you don't have to worry about it.
It's batteryless.
Ribbed for your pleasure.
What I love about this is it's TSA approved. Most gun cases, when you want to fly with a weapon, has 3 or 4 little holes. This one has 1, so you only need 1 lock, and then you do your...
Our listeners are getting 10% off if you use code UNSUB, and right now they're doing buy one, get one free.
Oh, that's a crazy deal!
That's 10% off and a free Stopbox Pro when you use code UNSUB at StopboxUSA.com.
10% and buy one, get one! They have to be operating at a loss!
One of my favorite parts about the Stopbox is that it is actually made in America.
Made in America!
Discover a better way to balance security and readiness with Stopbox.
Stopbox.
By the way, from somebody inside the schools, quote, BPS General Counsel Nate Kuzma, who works at the same firm as the former DA who opened his mouth, who's full of shit, has made an attorney-client privilege so that it could never be shared intentionally. That was the end result of that one.
Perfect.
So that's one thing to look out for or really stress moving forward is not letting that happen as they hire a new one.
Yeah, they'll have somebody investigate
They're
it.
intentionally not going to hire a new one. I can't prove it. I can't prove it with evidence, but I have multiple people that have all basically said, well, the superintendent's retiring in June, and she has 3 or 4 friends on the school board, and they're basically going to stall this until she gets her good retirement, and then they'll let it go to an investigation. So they're just trying to drag this out as long as possible to protect their buddy. Then they're going to drag it out as long as possible.
Who's the superintendent?
Tanya
Oh,
Williams.
Doctor or something Knight.
The one that's really upset.
Oh, that's not
that
Tanya?
she had to shut down her social media
I
and
thought that was
ignore
Tanya.
everybody coming to her with concerns.
And who's going to be next appointed? Because you knew who's next in
Yeah,
line,
so the
which
next
that's
guy
something to
getting
watch out
appointed,
for.
I've heard from multiple sources he's not great either. I can pull up his
Superintendents
name.
are
Well, he's
not
friends in that group, so
voted.
he's already
They're
conditioned
appointed
for this
There's only
behavior.
like one male in the board, isn't
Dr.
there?
Tanya Williams Knight.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
William.
got a hold
Okay,
of the
so she must have got
teachers.
married. She must have got married after that letter because the letter said Tanya Williams, but maybe she got married. Yeah, that's her.
Union rep. I sent him an email because one thing the news did that was really shitty is they took the one snippet where you were talking about allegedly one teacher in particular was putting kids inside of a bathroom with the lights off.
Yes.
One teacher is what we said.
Correct.
The news then portrayed it to the teachers union president, Richard Nigro, that we were saying this about all teachers.
Which we're not.
And he was upset. Obviously, like that's fair if you think that we're saying all Buffalo teachers are throwing small children
would
in
anyone
a
believe that
cage,
that was what was
which we're not
said?
saying at all.
We were
And he's
specific
like,
on that.
you're painting everybody with a broad brush, right? But they're just clipping couple second segments out and portraying it.
On another podcast called Black Rifle Coffee Podcast, High described how some teachers and teacher aides use school bathrooms for so-called timeout rooms.
The Buffalo Public School will put children in a bathroom and turn off the
They
lights
splice that.
and then put their foot against the door so the kid can't
They
get out.
really
Where's the
splice
timeout?
that up.
Oh, it's the bathroom. Timeout room is the bathroom? Yeah. What do you do in the timeout room? Well, my teacher and the teacher's aide, the Buffalo Public School, will put children in the bathroom and turn off the lights.
Wow, so, I wonder what that's like.
I am so glad. All right, the notes have gone out the window. I'm so glad that they are pulling every bit of receipts and calling these people out. And I want y'all to know this happens in our media all day, every day, across the board, across every topic you could think of. And I am so glad they are calling it out with receipts. That's disgusting.
Children in the bathroom and turn off the lights.
Wow, so, I wonder what that's like.
Yeah, exactly.
Geez, the news doing that to two people who are trying to better the environment for people in their community? Brandon, who would know what that feels like?
Imagine.
You know, this is why I think that media trust is at an all-time high.
Whoa.
Oh. And it's a smart move on their part, because right now, all the information I have hundreds of teachers that I've talked to and interviewed and everything. And they're the ones that are giving me all the information, telling me what FOIA requests to fill out. Like, they're the ones that are helping. By and large, all of these teachers are great people trying to do what's best for these kids. And they all feel that their hands are being tied behind their back. They're not allowed to do what needs to be done to keep these kids and themselves safe. And the administration is intentionally doing it.
I mean, you're 2 decades into your career at this point.
They're burning
them out.
You've
never been written up in 20 years.
Never.
All of a sudden, instantly.
Getting called down to the administrator's office. And the odd thing about these write-ups, they weren't anything. They had no backing. It was just to intimidate me. I mean, it just got crazy. I just pulled it up before I got on with you, and I have this document. It's like every other day we are getting called down. And I got to the point where my phone would ring in my classroom, and I would get sick and I would puke. Because I would literally go to the bathroom and puke because I was being tormented every day and supposed to teach kids at the same time. And it makes you physically ill, because I'm not used to treating people this way, ever. And I'll tell you what, it started then, and up until a month and a half ago, it has not stopped. They have not stopped retaliating against me, and it's almost gotten worse.
So what they're doing is they're coming out.
They're coming after the people that are on the ground every day in the classrooms with these students, instead of just fixing it from the top, because God forbid they're holding themselves accountable and they're actually doing their jobs. But instead, they'd rather have it easy and make the lives of the teachers miserable. And this is why I'm saying to you, half of these people, more than half, these teachers hate their jobs. Not because they hate the students, they love teaching, but the job part of it is so taxing, and it's so unnecessarily political and ridiculous that these teachers hate coming to do their job. They love the students, they love teaching, but the job, there's a difference. And that is why the teachers, they're burnt out. They've got nothing left. And I'm telling you this because I know teachers who teach. Like, I have friends who are scattered all over the country that are teachers everywhere, and overwhelmingly so. It's like, just got off another 4-hour meeting about I don't even know what, and it's like, you're just burning these people out, and then they got to get off and do hours worth of lesson plans. It's like, it's aggravating. It's so
retaliating against me, and it's really almost gotten worse.
So what they're doing is they're coming out and making it seem like, we just want to burn everything to the ground and go after these teachers. We don't. Like, the teachers are great. It's just not even all of the administration. Some members in the administration and the culture that they've created are not safe, and it doesn't allow these teachers to do their jobs.
Which is really fun that you have teachers on the inside that are essentially like with telling you what FOIA requests to file and shit.
Oh yeah,
that's basically like they're giving you the exhaust port plans on the Death Star. Like, please, for the love of God, blow this up.
Well, the scariest part to me is every single, with the exception of like 1 or 2, and the 1 or 2 that I've talked to, the only reason they're not terrified of losing their job is because the school board has already gone after them repeatedly and tried to fire them and lost in court.
Correct.
Nice.
The gentleman that we've already showed the clip of at that school board meeting, that was a union rep. I forget what instance it was, but he got into it with the Buffalo School Board over some safety stuff, and they put him on paid leave for 2 years while they tried to fire him.
What the fuck? Including other people.
Including because he was the head of the social studies department. So not only did they put him on paid leave, they put the entire social studies department, which I believe was 5 teachers in total, on paid leave for a year and tried to fire all of them. And by sheer coincidence, the other 2 social studies teachers of the 5 that they put on paid leave were the other 2 union reps for that school.
Almost like they're trying to union bust, which is
illegal.
Oh!
What the?
And then they ended up losing in court, saying the teacher did absolutely nothing wrong. And the Buffalo School Board's people testifying on their behalf were found inadmissible in court, presumably because they got caught lying under oath.
About what?
I don't know exactly what. I have the court documents, and you can see that their testimony was deemed no good.
And nothing happened because of that?
He ended up getting to keep his job.
No, but I mean, lying under oath, there was no repercussions.
Why would there be?
They're trying to.
It seems to be a recurring theme.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. If there is a mass layoff or they try that, understand why it's happening. It is the big cogs right now that are the issue. It's a lot of the times what happens is the big cogs at the top, you can't do anything.
Yeah.
So they're just like, oh, replace these ones until we find team players. And then rinse, repeat until you do find team players. But right now, the goal of all this is to get rid of those fucking big cogs that are literally pieces of garbage.
Ed Dranch is a giant cog.
His comments are still turned off on his Twitter.
Good.
They're going to have to be turned off for a while.
His phone number was on his Twitter for a while.
Well, it was like his business phone number, I think.
Yeah, that was an interesting call.
Maybe don't attack the podcast as trying to stick up for kids and then double down when we quote you and post the entire 1.5-minute opening of your video where you do that and go, well, no, that's not what I said.
It was taken out of context. I'm like, no, I watched the full fucking thing.
We played more of his original opening in that video straight than they did of my entire 20-something minute interview at Channel 7.
It's wild not to apologize. I do not get that mindset. It's like, I wonder if I just came out and was like, hey, sorry, I messed up.
God forbid.
How that might react.
Even if he was just like, hey, clarify, just to clarify, I think these are very important allegations. I didn't mean to downplay it, whatever. Just take a little bit of accountability.
Yeah.
Even a
my
fraction.
intent wasn't this. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
My intent was to talk about the thing, and I hit on this thing first. I could have saved that for a later date. And our army would have been like, hold.
Hey, Brandon.
Yes, Eli?
When you think of businesses that are just crushing it, Bunker, Unsub, what's the first thing to enter your mind?
That's easy, Eli. A good child labor law attorney.
Huh?
Eli, I said Shopify. What did you hear?
Actually, it was the overlooked secret behind the business.
Like I said, Shopify.
Oh. Which brings us to today's ad.
Shopify. I mean, we use Shopify on a daily basis.
That's right. We use Shopify for Bunker, Brandon, and Unsub. Those magical shoes we have where they're linked through Shopify to the mythical store at Bunker Branding. And because of Shopify, they communicate.
It's like your mom and your dad on their anniversary night. Not yours.
Nobody does selling better than Shopify.
They are home of the #1 checkout on the planet.
With Shop Pay, which boosts your conversion up to 50%.
50%. Just like the age of all of our factory workers are 50% the age they need to be legally employed in the United States.
Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we get over at Unsubscribe or Bunker.
Sign up for your $1 per month trial period over at shopify.com/unsubpod.
Head over to shopify.com/unsubpod to upgrade your selling today.
Shopify.com/unsubpod.
All lowercase.
Speaking of, you guys want to sue one of the news channels?
Oh, get ready for this.
I built an entire case to sue one of the news channels.
All right, what's the case?
Were we slandered, Nick?
I'm sorry. I
Rich was
just simply love how much joy Nick gets from this. He's like a kid in the candy store. He's like, hey, anybody I have a lot of time. Why not? Please do. By the way, please do. I just the boyish joy that beams out of him. He enjoys the mischievousness because it's valid. He has so much proof that he's like, anybody wanna? We can all go in on the filing fees.
Sue one of the news channels.
All right, what's the case?
Were we slandered, Nick?
Rich was defamed.
I was defamed.
And I can prove it. I built an entire case out for it.
Neat.
It's very exciting.
So for all the lawyers out there, this is called foreshadowing.
I'm conflicted because this news channel's been the least courteous to Rich, but they've also got the best journalist working for them. So it's kind of one of those cases where Nate Benson works for Channel 2 WGRZ, But everybody else that writes on it that isn't Nate Benson shits on Rich to the point that it's now defamatory, and I can prove it. Okay, so in multiple articles, including YouTube videos that they put up, which I have saved, and news broadcasts that they've aired, which I have saved, and news articles that they've printed, they've all claimed that Detective Richard High is on the Brady list.
Yeah.
You know what the Brady list
Which
is?
is incorrect.
what's the Brady
Guess what I
list?
have?
Well, would you like to explain what the Brady
Yeah,
list
The
is?
Brady
Brady
list
list?
means that you're on like the no-fly list when it comes to the district attorneys for when you go and take the stand to testify. It specifically states that you have credibility issues, which I know I've never lied on the stand, and all of my internal affairs or complaints never has to do with my evidence collection, my time on the stand, my integrity, or lying about any sort of charges that I've put on. So I have zero credibility issues on the stand. That is my history. Yeah. But them saying that I'm on the Brady list would say that I do have credibility issues and that I cannot testify because of those issues.
It's a pretty big allegation.
I would say it's significant and would look very poorly in my career because a detective not being able to testify is significant.
That would be
very
crazy.
damaging.
And then
Very
we put it
damaging.
right here, right? We can show the clips of them saying that
Take
right
them to
here.
court!
I have them.
The allegations made on the Unsubscribed podcast by Buffalo Police Detective Richard High have
Take 'em to
prompted the
court.
Buffalo School Board to seek an outside investigator. Officer
of
High
course.
alleges the district failed to report an attempted abduction, sexual assault, child abuse, and destroyed evidence, which he discovered while working a case. Allegations that have outweighed High's status on the Brady list, which is a list of law enforcement officers whom the Erie County District Attorney's Office have found to have credibility issues.
So Channel 2 is the only one that even
They just
after it came
outright
out, they're
said
like,
that.
oh, he's actually onto something. When all the other news channels just started referring to him as SVU veteran detective Richard High, they would still put in the article, these allegations appear to outweigh his placing on the Brady list. Like just mad they have to admit that he's doing the right thing. Well, I have the Brady list. Guess who's not fucking on it? Richard High. So claiming that somebody is so uncredible that they can't even testify in court under oath is a pretty big allegation, right?
That's wild.
The problem with defamation is if I was going to sue you for it, I would have to prove that it wasn't a genuine mistake and that you did it maliciously, right? So how would I be able to prove that?
Well,
that they
like
were
a history would probably be able.
Oh, like an ongoing history? Cool. What if I trained an advanced AI to go through their entire website and catalog the top 10 officers in the history of the news source that they've written articles about? And Rich is the third most reported on cop in Buffalo history out of 800 police officers. And not a single article is even remotely charitable to Rich.
Some of them don't even have to do with me, but they bring me into the article to then defame me.
Anytime they get a chance to throw him under the bus, they do it. Okay, so I can prove that he's the third most reported on cop in Buffalo's history out of 800 cops, which to me says that you've got a wild hair up your ass and you're gunning for him. Okay, so I'm able to prove that you would lie on purpose because you don't like him, right? But then what's even harder is I then have to go out and I have to prove that he's not on the Brady list, which he isn't. And then what was the other facet? I have to prove that
it wasn't a mistake.
It wasn't a mistake, which, the evidence seems to imply that.
If they try to fix anything, it is Sunday, May 18th, 2025, when this comes out. I don't want them to be like, oh, look, see?
We better redact this.
Yeah, like this is the exact date. 10
Luckily,
days, I will then enter again, just again.
I have it all saved.
Okay.
We have the Wayback Machine, fuckhead.
Yes.
I have it all saved in catalog. But like then the real problem is like, okay, so I proved it was malicious. I proved that, you are lying. And that was on purpose. You've got, you maliciously did this to Rich. So then the problem is like, okay, well, it's just one cop. It's one detective at 800. How much is that really worth in a defamation case, right? But then you got to realize Rich is probably the most famous active serving cop in the world. Anybody think of another cop?
Like active?
A cop with multiple millions of subscribers that's recognized nationwide and globally, who built his entire online persona around accountability, doing the right thing. And then you come out and you say that he's such a piece of shit that he can't testify under oath because he lies all the time. Seems like that'd be worth a lot of money in court.
Yeah, and also that proves a financial harm to your brand.
I wish Rich would come
that
on
was
the
the other
podcast
part.
with Mike the
That
cop
was
too.
the other part is I would have to prove financial harm, which would be tricky to do unless I unless I got like 20 to 30 people to comb through every Reddit and Facebook post that's been out since this case broke and took screenshots of hundreds of people parroting the same talking point that Rich is on the Brady list.
Oh.
Which came directly from them, from a credible news source. So now I can prove that it did harm his reputation.
Yeah.
If there's any lawyers that would like to take up this case.
Yeah, so I guess I'm saying if I were Channel 2, within like 48 hours of this video dropping, I would have a whole article apologizing to Richard Hire on how you guys were wrong. And when I say a whole article, I don't mean go back and change the articles. I mean, I would make a whole article titled WGRZ apologizes to SVU detective Richard High for fucking lying, or I'm going to turn over all this evidence and then go to the kitchen and grab some popcorn while I watch him sue the dog shit out of you. Cheers.
Oh, I love you.
I wish I had a White Claw right now.
I like to see bad people get what they deserve.
Right? You get what you deserve.
Well,
High's allegations have outweighed his status on the Erie County District Attorney Office's database for law enforcement officers with credibility concerns, even though he's not on it and never fucking was.
Quote, Channel 2 WGRZ.
That's so funny because as Eli was opening the White Claw, I'm like, I wish he would, every time someone opened one, I wish they would put it at the mic and like pop the top. Like, let's just piss him off even more. That was fantastic. I hope it's going to echo. Yeah, I mean, just saying something like outweighs is like... So what you're saying is that his allegations have become bigger than the fact that he is uncredible and he's on this list, which he's not. But somehow these allegations are so much bigger. Like, it's like, just say you screwed up and that the allegations are true. But no, it's like you got to throw somebody under the bus and throw shade just to stroke your ego. There's just, the ongoing theme here, friends, is ego.
Channel 2 WGRZ.
Q burp.
Oh my God!
Whoa! You're
and I know Reddit probably had a heyday just going through.
Oh yeah, I got hundreds. I got hundreds of comments parroting their false talking point where they defamed him, and I have the screenshots of all those comments already. So, I mean, if they don't want to apologize publicly with its own article and put it up on your fucking YouTube channel and the news broadcast,
I'd sue him anyway.
Then I'm just going to turn it over and I can prove that you've written about him the third most out of 800 cops over the course of his career. Nothing's ever been charitable. You throw him under the bus every chance you can get. I can prove he's not on the Brady list, and then I can prove that I have hundreds of comments of people parroting your false talking points to discredit him as, you know, defamation and harm to your credibility for the most famous cop in the world. So that reputation's worth a lot of money. Up to you guys.
Bury that fuckhead.
Nate Benson, sorry, you're a great journalist, but somebody else working at that news agency has it out to get him. I don't know if it's Ron Plants or the guy writing his scripts, but they're going to cost that place a lot of fucking money unless they start eating some crow. So, see you soon. The Buffalo School Board is just creating policies where it basically ties the hands behind the backs of the teachers that are trying to do the right thing. And I have multiple teachers, multiple interviews, I have hundreds of stories via written. But they all say the same thing. They've all attempted to do the right thing, and they've all been instructed by the school board that they're not allowed to do it. And I've asked repeatedly, and nobody knows that this is actually written down, but every single teacher has told me this without me asking. They've all told me the same thing. Buffalo school teachers are not allowed to call 911. They have to talk to an administrator, and the administrator makes that call.
Geez, Nick, does that ever come up in one of these stories where something happens and it could affect the health, welfare, and well-being of a child?
It sure does.
Wow.
Multiple times.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
if there is an immediate threat happening in my child's classroom, the teacher can't immediately grab their phone and call 911 without repercussion, but instead has to find, locate, and transmit what's going on to a superior before the police can be called. Anyone see a problem with that? When a child's life could be within like seconds matter in the safety or the aliveness of a child. And it's like, oh, hold on, wait, I got to go get permission to call 911.
Well-being of a child?
It sure does.
Is that what I'm to understand that,
multiple
man?
times.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we can go into the THC gummy ones. So I've interviewed multiple people on that. I've interviewed the uncle of one of the boys that took the 500 milligram edible.
500
and
milligrams.
He's very disappointed with the school board. How do 500 milligram edibles just wind up on the hallway floor or the locker room floor in a middle school? And then why would a teacher pick them up and give them to children? Whatever, stupid shit happens. Maybe that is happen. Maybe that did happen. That's not my overall issue with the thing. My issue is the school and their policies at the administrative level do not allow things to get addressed as quickly as they should for the safety of children.
Right.
The paramedics who I've talked to and I've interviewed.
Quick, what is the age of the children? This is
11 and 12.
Okay, so you have 11 and 12.
500 milligrams? at
5
11 or
milligrams.
12?
5 will wreck somebody that's never done it, especially when you weigh 80 pounds to 90 pounds. Now, 500 milligrams. Like, what would 50 do?
I know
50.
what 500 does to an
sick
11-year-old
those
because they
kids
were
get?
hospitalized with resting
Right,
heart rates of 130.
You said he found it on the floor?
He allegedly found it on the floor, either in the hallway or in the locker room. And I have a picture of the THC gummies. They resembled Sour Patch Kids, but as you can see, Stony Patch covered in weed.
They've got singular cyclops eyes.
It's singular cyclops eyes that in a colored version, they're very red.
In a world of peanut and just every other allergy out there, y'all are just picking up stuff and handing them to people's children that don't belong to you?
Cyclops eyes.
It's singular cyclops eyes that in a colored version, they're very red, as if you'd been smoking weed. So, but granted, it does, if you're just taking a glance, maybe it does kind of look like Sour Patch Kids, and maybe it was all an accident. Whatever, that guy should still be fired, but that's separate. My issue is when the EMTs get called, the EMTs show up, and I've talked to the EMTs. They pull up to the school, and nobody will let them in. The doors are locked. Now, if a child is overdosing on an illegal drug, I would either A, have somebody sitting at the curb waiting for the EMTs to show up and then immediately take them to the children, or I would have the children outside waiting and hand them off. Not what happened. Took the EMTs, I believe he said, 8 to 10 minutes to find someone to let them into the building. And nobody would even come to the doors. It was actually the security guard from the parking lot that came in, and the security guard's like, hey, what's going on? He had no idea. He had not been briefed on the issue. So it took them somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes from arriving on the scene to get to the children that were overdosing on an illegal drug. And then once they got in there, the principal was apparently just didn't really give a shit.
The irony here, you guys, you see how this school says William J. Grabazar, whatever, School of Excellence. So many of these schools, I've never lived anywhere before where I've seen so many schools with the title of excellence at the end. And this school district is literally known for the exact opposite of excellence. The irony in the fact that, so many, and it's usually the grades level, like the elementary level grade schools. You drive around Buffalo and it's all like School of Excellence. This School of Excellence, like, where's the excellence? It's nowhere to be found.
The principal was apparently just didn't really give a shit.
Of course.
The school resource officer that was there comes up and is arguing with the EMTs, like, well, do they really have to go to the hospital? They look fine. And the EMT is like, yes, they're going to the hospital. So that was an issue. And then a patrol officer showed up on the call as well. And the SRO and the patrol officer got into like an argument about why that guy shouldn't have even shown up and the SRO had it under control.
Meanwhile, you said this kid has a resting heart rate of about
130, correct. He's having the worst day of his life. He just had 500 milligram edible.
Just so a reference,
haven't been
it's
notified.
50 per gummy. So it's a 500 in a little bag.
The two of them ate an entire bag.
Jeez.
So yeah, 250 per. And again, like 5 would wreck somebody at that.
Yeah.
That level, 50, 250 if they split it.
So they ate the entire bag because it was candy. And so this is all going on. And I believe it was the principal or the assistant principal. It was an administrator that had the bag. They had to go into the administrator's office and be like, hey, I'm trying to figure out how much drugs these kids had under your supervision. Where's it at? And she had it sitting underneath her big like metal tumbler. And the EMT said like she was trying to hide it. And when he directly asked her for it, she like reluctantly gives it to him. And he investigates, sees that it's 500 milligrams in the bag. Okay, now he knows. He hands it back to her, takes the kids to the hospital. Comes back, and he's, taking notes. He wants to see the bag again to either take the bag or take a picture of it. We don't know where the bag went.
Oh.
So the evidence disappeared.
Wait a second. I feel like the destruction, intentional or unintentional, of evidence is like an ongoing theme with the city of Buffalo school system, whether it be video evidence or physical evidence like this bag.
Richard, isn't one crime?
Destruction of evidence? I believe there's something. I'm tisming right now because I believe New York State Penal Code has that.
Sounds like justice is being obstructed.
Now, so that's pretty bad, but it's an indicator of the overall problem.
When were the parents called? When were the parents notified of this? Because I'd have been up at the school before the EMTs, baby. I would have taken flight from wherever I was at. When were the parents notified? Because I've yet to hear about that. Did the school board did the school also overlook calling these children's parents to let them know that they had ingested drugs?
Justice is being obstructed.
Now, so that's pretty bad, but it's an indicator of the overall problem, right? So they're just not working with first responders in the way that they should. And all the teachers have told me this. They're not allowed to call 911. They have to do everything through the administration. And I interviewed another teacher who wanted to remain anonymous, so we're going to play that clip here in a second. But has a story, and I believe I've shown you guys a video, so we don't have to watch it. We'll just play it for the audience.
When I taught at another school in the city, the music teacher had a student that passed out cold. And this was probably like a 6th grader. She ran over to my room, the teacher, and she said, so-and-so just passed out on the floor. I can't wake him up. Come help. I went over there. I'm like, we got to call the police. So we called the rule is you have to call an administrator before you call police.
I just want everyone to know that this is definitely someone that lives in Buffalo. You can tell by the accent. Even though the voice is altered, the Buffalo accent is one I have never heard before until now, and it's so distinct, and it's so indicative to this area. It's like New York meets Canada meets Wisconsin. It's so specific that I'm so if anyone wants to doubt that this person actually even lives in Buffalo, please see the accent. Thank you so much.
You have to call an administrator before you call police. You have to. So we call the administrator, and the administrator says, you are not calling anybody. We're going to call the mother and have her come over. And me and this teacher are like, what are you talking about? We can't wake the kid up.
Right. Now, if
we need an ambulance here now. No.
Not call the police.
The principal
and then
came
the mom?
down to our room and stood there while this kid is passed out. Passed out. No ambulance, nothing.
Other students
Do you think
around.
that's crazy? Mom finally shows up. I don't even remember how it ended. I know Mom was motherfucking everybody, and shame on me. I was younger back then. But there's always this idea, you're always scared of you're going to get in literally, I don't know what ruling the administrators have, but there's something that they do that you are scared shitless.
I think this speaks to, workplace abuse, but with all these kind of cases happening right now in the celebrity world, and a lot of people are shaming women who are why didn't you just leave? Why didn't you just do that? And even when I told a story in maybe the first part of my reaction to this about the little girl at the gym with her dad, and how the dad had her in this big open public area with grown men around, and he stripped her dripping wet from the pool naked. And in the act of it, I was more worried about the creep watching her than just going over and helping the dad and drawing his attention to it. People you have to give grace to in the moment for these teachers when something is happening. You don't want to break the rules, you don't want to get in trouble, you know what I mean, and so the humanity of it all is shrunken to kind of the pressure of the situation. And that's why she's I was younger. She probably regrets not just call. It's there's so many circumstances where it's just like, but we shouldn't be putting our teachers in these circumstances in the first place. Like, fight or flight and instinct is a real thing, and we should allow our teachers to be able to use their better judgment instead of having to file through the Rolodex of rules before reaching out and getting someone help. If that child would have been unalive because the ambulance didn't get there in time, like what are we covering up here? What are we protecting? Who are we protecting? Is your $60,000 salary that important to you that you can't do the right thing to save innocent children who are being left in your care for 8 hours a day while a parent is just trying to make money and feed them? Is that worth it? Is it worth it? Would it be worth it to you if the roles were reversed and something like that happened to your child and a teacher said, or an administrator said, I just had to follow the rules? Sometimes the rules are meant to be broken.
You are scared shitless.
Do you remember what ended up happening with the girl? Like, why she passed out? I mean, did she get to the hospital eventually?
She did get to the mom brought her to the hospital. Yeah. And I remember she was back in the building the following week. So.
I mean, she was out of school for days after this.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they probably didn't double back to let you know what the medical issue was. But regardless, I mean, that girl could have been ODing on drugs, and it took, 30 minutes, 45 minutes?
Just for more context, I've never been a school teacher, but I was a dance teacher for several years. We had to take CPR classes. We had to learn how to administer EpiPens and all these things. And I'll never forget one time we had carnival day. So our dance studio was connected to like a basketball gym. It was like a big youth center. And this child, something happened, a medical issue occurred, and immediately, when I tell you everyone, it was like, I felt like I was a part of an action squad, the way we all just flocked in and immediately went into action, doing what we were trained to do, but also was the right instinctual thing to do. No one stopped and said, what do we, because the welfare of the child was on the line. It was on the line. I think within 3.5 minutes, the fire department was there. And the child was fine because we were able to administer the EpiPen and everything. By the time they got there, like, you guys did the right thing. They still took to the child. They checked his vitals. The parent showed up. It's like, but why should you be halting teachers from doing things like that? And again, I'm not an educator. I was never an educator, but I was a dance teacher and I was in charge of other people's children. And I never felt like I couldn't do the right thing because of semantics, of politics.
ODing on drugs, and it took 30 minutes, 45 minutes to get mom, drive there from work, pick her up, drive her to the hospital rather than just calling the ambulance?
Yeah, it was probably a good, I would say it was about 20 minutes. I think it was about 20 minutes. It was awful. Awful. Like, we could not wake this student up.
So, I mean, it took this kid an hour to get to the hospital when she lost consciousness and was unresponsive. And she didn't end up making it back to school till the following week.
What I just don't understand is the incentive. Is it just whether it's anti-cop sentiments or just trying to make the school seem better than it is, or like it's functioning better than it is?
Money?
Why do they feel like they just have?
What is it? But none of that matters.
What is their goal?
I truly believe on my side, just the overview, stranger to it, haven't deep diving. It is, we need to look good. Look how good. Yeah, we had 17,000 calls, but half of those were just what were they called?
School other.
Yeah, school other, the information only.
It's small stuff. See, we're really
miscellaneous.
Safe. Yeah, miscellaneous.
Because what does a child passing out have to do with what? Why would that make you look bad? A child had a medical emergency. Why would that make a school look bad? Why would that make you look bad? Why would that make you look bad? You called the ambulance to save a child's life. Why would that make you look bad?
Information only.
It's small stuff. See, we're really
miscellaneous.
Safe. Yeah, miscellaneous. That we're really safe. You're good to go. Funding, however that works, and you just keep doing that.
Yeah, and then that shithead lawyer that works for the school from Lipschitz Mathis or whatever the fuck that law firm is comes on the news and he's like, actually, the sheer volume of calls that they've contacted the police clearly shows that they're working great with law enforcement. I'm going to conveniently ignore the fact that 54% of the calls were listed as school other. So then we call them out and that doesn't work. So then they get fucking John J. Flynn, I believe his name is, former district attorney.
His middle name is Jizz.
And the news brings him on, and he fucking is like, well, actually, I was a district attorney, and I promise you that, you know, the whole time, I realized that the dude was only getting charged with misdemeanors for assault and child endangerment, and then Rich came out and said that he was kidnapping, and then the DA, after having a bunch of backlash, magically was like, oh, we are going to charge this guy with felony kidnapping. But, you know, that had nothing to do with the podcast, and I would know because I'm a former DA. What the fucking news didn't tell you is Flynn also works for Lipschitz Mathis or whatever the fuck that law firm is that is directly working for the school board. The entire thing's bullshit and rigged.
So the only people that are talking out or speaking out in their favor are people who have a financial incentive to do so.
Correct. Financial and legal obligation to do so.
Just clarifying.
Isn't that neat? Isn't it cool how the news left that part out, that he's working for the same law firm that protects all the administrators?
You know,
it's crazy the news would do that.
You know, it's funny because Flynn also said that he didn't have any incidents where the school was covering anything up during his tenure at DA at the DA's office as the DA. But you know what, Nick?
It took me all of about 15 minutes to find out that not only was that a fucking lie, you can actually still go on change.org or change.gov and sign a petition to this day demanding that he step down as DA because he refused to prosecute childhood sex crimes appropriately. That's the entire reason they wanted him to step down. Because crimes appropriately.
Dear citizens of Buffalo and beyond, we know the Erie County District Attorney John Flynn has failed to uphold the duties and responsibilities as an elected official. We believe that it's time for him to resign from his position. There have been numerous instances where Mr. Flynn has demonstrated a lack of judgment and professionalism in his role as prosecutor. Father Joseph Moreno's case is just one example of Flynn mishandling cases involving the Catholic Diocese, is that what it's called? Diocese of Buffalo, and incomplete police work, undermining police trust in the justice system. Furthermore, Mr. Flynn has made controversial and incorrect rulings that have caused irreparable harm to victims, their families, and the legal proceedings surrounding the case in question, reinforcing the suspicions of corruption within the DA's office. These actions are unacceptable for someone who holds such an important position in the community. As taxpayers and residents of Erie County, we deserve a district attorney who will prioritize justice and fairness for all the individuals, including victims of clergy sex abuse. Regardless of the Catholic Diocese of Buffalo's concerns or demands, we urge Mr. Flynn to step down from his position immediately so that we can begin the process of finding a new district attorney who will represent the interests of all members of our community. Thank you for your support in this matter. Sincerely, Sue and Joe Sr. Moreno, Rachel and Greg Hunter, and the citizens of Buffalo, New York.
That's the entire reason they wanted him to step down.
How many thousands of signatures does it have already?
It had 3,500 before I put it out to the internet. There's probably hundreds more because people went and also signed it just from mine. But it was 3,500 people legitimately from Buffalo that would have signed this thing, demanding that he step down for not properly addressing childhood sex crimes.
Do you have a single instance of those? Just one of the stories?
So a lot of the story that it goes back to is in years prior when he was the DA, the Archdiocese, the Catholic Church operating in the area of Dubuque, had a priest or multiple priests that had, been accused of childhood sex crimes, whatever, and he apparently did not do his due diligence in investigating and punishing those sex crimes. And I think the Archdiocese of Dubuque is in a stage of bankruptcy right now because they've been sued so many times. But that being sued is a civil lawsuit.
Right.
Not a criminal lawsuit. So that means that the parents, allegedly, if these kids were assaulted, were having to go into the legal system and file and sue the church individually, and there was no criminal prosecution. And that's why they wanted this guy to step down, is because he was not doing his due diligence in punishing childhood sex crimes. So for him to come out and be like, yeah, I would have never done this as DA, it's bullshit. You did it.
Mm-hmm. Also, one of the specific things that I brought up happened during his tenure. One of the stories where there was a assault at a school pool, and the school principal, this happened 2 years ago while he was DA, and the school principal failed to
out of the DA's office.
Not declare it. Oh my gosh, report it. And then a year later, the child that was the victim of it disclosed it to somebody else. Then it became an investigation. But guess what happens after a year? All physical evidence is gone. The video is erased and like recorded over because it's been a year. They only save it for like, let's say even 180 days. That's gone.
Yeah.
And that school principal wrote the DA and said, hey, I'm not going to come in for the subpoena that your office sent me because I did my own investigation and I don't really care. Sent a letter stating why they're going to refuse to respond to the subpoena while he was the district attorney.
I have a question. I do history videos on the internet.
You do?
If I were to apply at
check those
Buffalo
out.
schools to be a history teacher with no degree in education or history, do you think that I would get hired?
No, that doesn't
Why?
make any sense.
Why is that?
Well, because you don't have like a teaching degree.
Oh, so I don't have the proper training to be a teacher, yet they don't have any training to be an investigative detective, yet they can host their own investigations, determine that no crimes were conducted, and then not inform law enforcement, even though they're a mandatory reporter. That's what you're telling me.
I mean, that's exactly what I would get out of this story.
Okay, I have a story. We're an hour and 10 minutes in. As a lot of you know, we previously lived in Central Florida before moving here to Buffalo, the Buffalo area. And my daughter's teacher, her third grade teacher at the beginning of the year, you go to the class, you meet this teacher, yada, yada, yada. We thought the teacher was great. It was a male teacher. It was the first time she'd ever have a male teacher. And we were kind of excited because we feel like, okay, she's going to get a different energy from a teacher. Not all teachers are females. I thought it was like a good thing. He seemed like a really great guy. His wife is also a teacher. He had children, yada, yada, yada. Well, sometime into the school year, it had been like a few months, we get a note from the school letting us know that, let me add, we also knew that this was his first year teaching and he came over from marketing, like bank marketing. We'd still, there was no red flag for us. We're okay, obviously this school will have done their due diligence. Well, come to find out, he was still doing certifications and training to actually become like a certified teacher, like to actually be labeled as an educator. He hadn't completed these courses. He was doing them and the school administration was overseeing his work to make anyway, he ended up stepping down mid-school year of my child's third grade year, and it was just a mess. It ended up with a new teacher who was fantastic. She was fabulous. She was like a veteran teacher, but it was too late. The kids in their class was the lowest scoring testing class in their grade and pretty low for the whole school. It was just a mess. And so I brought this up to one of my really close friends who's a teacher in Georgia. And she was like, oh, the amount of actual kids we have in our schools teaching that are still taking college courses to complete their teaching degree, but there's such a shortage in teachers that schools are finding loopholes and ways around it. That is such a real thing. So though Nick just asked that question and everybody's like, no, of course not, I beg to differ. I can't speak for here in Buffalo, but I can tell you it's happening in other school districts where there's just such a shortage of teachers, especially post the pandemic, where the teachers are like, I'm not going back into the school. Y'all have burnt me to no end, and I'm not going back in there. And so they're so desperate for teachers that they're allowing people who are not qualified and certified to be educators in these children's classrooms. And that was another big reason why when we moved here, we were like, I'd be better off being her teacher. It's scary what is going on in our children's schools. And up until last year, I didn't think there was anything I could do about it. I didn't think I qualified or I had what it took, the patience to homeschool. And we are 1 week from finishing our first year of homeschool. She is ready to do it again next year. I am ready to do it again next year. She has improved greatly. And I'm only saying this to you that if it is something you have been thinking about and you have the ability, capability, and resources to do so, give it a try. We are using, and this is no plug, there's no ad here, we're using a free curriculum. It's called Discovery K-12, which is different from K-12. I've enjoyed it. I use it to kind of supplement what I know she needs, and it keeps us on a regimented schedule and routine. I just want to let you know that I never thought I had the patience to do it. I never thought and God has blessed me with the time to be able to give that to her, and I'm taking that time. And if you find yourself in that same position, just think deeply on it, because it could be something that changes your child's life. or you could be protecting them from just the exposure or the possibility of something horrific like this. Okay, I'm stepping off my soapbox.
Reporter, that's what you're telling me.
I mean, that's exactly what I would get out of this story. And it also happened during his tenure as DA, which goes against what he was talking about when he went on the news to open his big, fat, stupid mouth.
They're like a slam poetry duet.
Cody, look. What?
Oh, another ad.
Look at
I
Brady.
love there's so many ads in this one.
What?
Yeah, that's right, Cody. Those are Style 700s by Turtle Beach.
Do you mean the ones that have an 80-hour battery life with quick charge?
Cody, they're also noise canceling. Watch. Brandon, put on your headphones.
The thing I hate about Texas is these they're horrible. But the food is really good. That's the one thing I have to say about them.
I don't know what you said, but I'm sure I agree with it.
I wish I had those headphones for that.
When I was a kid, I always wanted Turtle Beaches. These were like the be-all, end-all. Like, this is what all the cool kids had. But I was broke, and so now it's cool that I finally have a set.
When I was a kid, those didn't exist.
The Stealth 700s have the first cross-play dual wireless transmitter system, which means you can seamlessly switch between your PC, console at the click of a button.
That's a mouthful.
I'll show you a mouthful. Turtle Beach doesn't just have amazing headsets. They have every gaming accessory you could ever want in high quality with prices that don't break the bank.
Head over to turtlebeach.com and use code UNSUB to get 10% off your entire order.
Buy a beach turtle.
Kill them. After your purchase, they're going to ask you where you heard about their amazing products. Please tell them Unsubscribed sent you.
Get the ultimate immersive gaming experience with Turtle Beach today.
The Stealth 700s give me an edge and escape from Tarkov. I can hear footsteps way better.
And if we know Cody loves one thing, it's edging.
Head over to turtlebeach.com. We love you.
Buy a hammer, go to the beach, find a turtle.
Wasn't there also allegedly another potential sex crime that was conducted, and when the law enforcement officer showed up to investigate it, all the administration and teachers had gone home for the day, so he couldn't do his job?
Yes, there's two new stories that have come out.
When was it? Okay, when was this?
Since our original.
This has been since. This is, while they're now facing intense scrutiny, this is what they're still up to.
We are like B-Day plus 22 or something right now.
So I'm going to tell you, I think one that's more telling, that is a better picture, because it's all on body cam. So I was made aware of an incident that happened at a Buffalo school that happened, and I don't know the call number yet, so you can't even ask me about it. All I have is information from individuals that were there. School, police, EMT, not going to say who. Just saying that information was given to me by a couple different sources. And the information is that a assault had occurred at the school, at some school. I haven't confirmed it yet, but I know that it happened because of the people that are telling me about it. Assault happened at a school in the city of Buffalo. Officers responded to that school. The officers asked the staff for information, and let me rephrase that. It was assault. It was just a normal assault. It was two students had beaten up a janitor or somebody to that effect within the school. So the janitor was basically stomped pretty bad.
These like high school age kids?
I believe so.
Okay.
The janitor was stomped pretty bad and beaten up by these kids, jumped. The officers go to the school. They talk to the principal and say, hey, this is serious. We need the video of it. And also, we need to know these kids' names. And the school principal said, no, not giving you anything, not giving you the kids' names. And they're like, okay, but they're suspects in a crime. They jumped somebody at your school. They attacked basically one of your staff. We need to know who these people are. Even if we're not going to make an arrest and we go throughout the whole process, we get them counseling, something needs to start. We need their names. The principal refused, called up legal counsel, said legal counsel also told me to tell you to kick rocks. I'm not going to do that. This is all on body cam. And then the officers had the wherewithal to say, hey, here's the supporting deposition. I want you to sign the supporting deposition stating that you are refusing to give me the names of the suspects that assaulted your staff because they're individuals that go to your school. And she signed it.
Oh my God.
So so she wrote the deposition. I'm refusing per legal counsel, if I'm not mistaken, I'm refusing per legal counsel. At least I'm refusing to give you the names of the children in juveniles, 17, 18, who gives a shit, that assaulted one of my members of staff.
So they don't care about any staff, or it's just how their reputation is all they give a shit about. Because they're not protecting their own and they're not protecting the kids.
They're not protecting anybody. So
but does the principal think that's protecting the kids? Like, why would I'm sorry.
give a shit about. Because they're not protecting their own and they're not protecting the kids.
They're not protecting anybody. So now these two kids can go. They've got carte blanche. Why not go assault another staff member? Why not go assault some kids? Teachers or the principal's not going to give any of my information away to the police. So there you go. Families that have their kids in schools, the principals are allowing juveniles that are assaulting grown adults to remain around your children with no recourse. If your kid's being bullied at a Buffalo public school and you're not getting the response that you think you require to address that issue, this is your red flag. You might want to get involved.
And I believe there's actually a couple of class actions right now against the Buffalo Public Schools.
Yeah, there's now ads going around Facebook and ads getting mailed out by law firms that are basically asking people like, hey.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that I logged onto my Facebook the other day and it was like, it was literally what he's just saying. I saw it with my own two eyes and I read it and I chuckled to myself like, this is the work that's being done because Richard Hyde decided to open his mouth on a podcast where he was burping and drinking White Claw. But now, all of a sudden, there's all these individual actual investigations happening because people want answers. That, my friend, is called taking action.
This is apparently a prevalent issue. Get a hold of us if you want us to take a legal suit against Buffalo schools.
And this is, I guarantee, we've talked about it, but this has got to be way more. Buffalo's a great starting point, but y'all need to rally too and figure out if this is happening in your districts and start expanding and asking for this information.
Yep.
Because
So-
this is definitely nationwide thing.
I did even more digging on the Shane Cronin case, the alleged kidnapping at the magnet school with the museum.
Go on.
I have written testimonies from teachers that were there that day.
Oh, interesting.
This binder is great.
Blurred
This
out.
binder is great.
They got a hold of me, and they told me that, one, they were taken aback and disgusted when they watched our podcast because this individual...
Because we belched or because we were drinking?
No, because they were there that day and had to hear that there was an alleged kidnapping.
Caesar's M.
They found out from us that there was an attempted kidnapping that day, not from the administration. I have the Buffalo
Somebody that
Schools
worked in the school.
handbook and how they handle emergency situations. The Buffalo School District has 3 states of emergency. They have shelter in place, lockout, and lockdown. Shelter in place is something for like inclement weather outside. Hey, there's a tornado or winds or a flood. It's not safe to leave the building. Stay inside. Lockout is, hey, there's an external threat to the school that we're worried may come in. We're going to lock the exterior doors to the school so nobody can get inside. Lockdown is, there's an interior threat to the school. All of the teachers need to take the kids in the classrooms, lock the doors to the classrooms, and then take a roll call so we can account for every child. Going
Some
back
would
to the
call that
testimony.
foreshadowing.
Quote, during the active intruder gaining entry into the school building through the museum doors, school staff were never instructed to go on lockdown, but only shelter in place.
Oh, well, this isn't a storm. Go on.
Certainly not a storm, especially for a grown man breaking into a school. That would be a lockdown situation where you locked the school doors.
Breaking into the school for the purpose of kidnapping 2 children.
Whether they knew that or not at the time, yes.
Doesn't
Breaking
matter.
in is an interior threat. They should have been on lockdown. Continuing the quote, I do know that the assistant principal was attacked by this man as he attempted to gain entry to the second floor hallway, which contains 3rd through 5th graders. After the police arrived, the intruder was apprehended in the museum. Nothing in regards to further safety precautions were taken or offered to the students or staff at School 59 that day. The children and staff were not released from the building, and the day continued as if nothing had happened. Parents were also not made aware of the incident until a letter went home with every student the following day. So yeah, they didn't tell the parents the day that it happened. They instead sent home a mass letter with all of the elementary school kids. So who knows if the parents even got those letters. I wish I knew what the letter said, but obviously I don't live in Buffalo, so that would be really hard for me to, get a copy. Oh, wait, no, I'd have to fuck a copy
I
of
was
the
going to
letter.
say no. No, Nick has the letter. Nick has the letter.
The letter, dear parents and caregivers, As you know, safety and the well-being of our students is a top priority on Tuesday, February 11th.
No, it's not.
He was saying
No, it's not.
wow,
No, it's not.
man, that caught me off guard.
You know what's really funny about letters like this is you could just say whatever the fuck you want.
I guess so. Hey, do these ones have
This is
untruths in them?
so
Keep going.
Oh, we're going to get there.
This is so
On Tuesday, February 11th, we had an incident where a man entered our school through the museum without permission. In response, the school was placed in a brief shelter in place. So if you guys want to say that it's an untruth that you didn't go on lockdown, I have your letter from your fucking principal saying that you went into shelter in place, which is not the appropriate protocol.
Boo, boo schools, boo.
And we immediately notified the Buffalo police, who responded within minutes and arrested the man. The school is also using this as an opportunity to evaluate and reinforce its safety protocols to help ensure that something like this doesn't happen again. District officials and Buffalo Public School Security also met on Wednesday with the museum leadership to discuss the situation. Buffalo's Public Schools Crisis Prevention and Response Team and other support personnel have been and will continue to be available to students and teachers. As parents, you may want to talk with your child as well. If your child exhibits any indications of emotional distress, we suggest that you listen to him or her. If they need to talk, answer their questions simply, honestly, and possibly over and over again. Please feel free to contact the school with any concerns or questions you may have. Thank you for your continued support. Sincerely, Principal Mark Shoemaker. So if you have questions about their concerns, they want you to contact them at the phone number 716-816-3370.
I think I would have concerns.
Dr. Charles Drew.
You better call Tyrone. Call him. I'm infuriated. I'm infuriated. This is. Oh, we ride at dawn. We ride at noon. We ride at 5. What time? This is
70.
I would have concerns.
I think I would have concerns.
Dr. Charles Drew, Science Magnet, Buffalo School, number 59. So yeah, attempted kidnapping, didn't tell any of the parents, didn't go into lockdown while there was a grown man attempting to kidnap children inside the school.
Fighting assistant principals. Breaking into more classrooms.
According to this testimony of the teacher that was
that
there,
was the
he
thing
actually...
that Nick didn't read. It said that he got into a classroom and he caused destruction in the classroom. Now, whether the classroom was full of kids or not doesn't matter. This man entered a classroom and caused destruction. And only after the YouTube video started to roll out did they up the charges to kidnapping or attempted kidnapping.
Assistant principals.
Breaking into more classrooms.
According to this testimony of the teacher that was there, he actually made it into a classroom and destroyed the classroom with the teacher inside. Wasn't sure if there was kids in there or not, but regardless, that teacher who was in a classroom that this man broke into, opened the door because nobody told her to lock the doors because she didn't go into lockdown.
She was just sheltering in place.
Would have been an issue.
And that when they said that they called the police within minutes or something like that, that's all fucking lie too, right?
I don't know the exact response time, but the fact of the matter is everything that they can control, like, hey, go on to lockdown and lock your doors. There's a man in here trying to kidnap kids. They didn't do. And then they didn't tell the parents the gravity of the situation. They're like, oh, yeah, there was an incident. We had to go into shelter in place. Didn't mention that he attempted to kidnap kids. Didn't mention to the parents that he assaulted a principal. Didn't do any of that shit.
I mean, that can escalate so fastly. Just if that is a shooter or a situation like that, that's how you can see how bad that will get without, hey, announcing to all.
The fact that this man was in the school long enough to beat up the assistant principal, get to the second floor, and get inside of a classroom. Y'all hear the birds? Somebody's supposed to be coming today to get the birds out. They're going ham right now. This is a lot. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, you guys, there's still 25 minutes left in this video. I'm going to end it early. I will watch the rest by myself. But for time's sake, like, we have a birthday party to get to. I got things to do today. And I'm a little emotionally wrecked. And I know you guys have seen the whole thing. Like I said, I'm going to continue to watch because I need to see how this ends on my own accord for what I live in these streets. But for video entertainment reaction purposes, I am going to end the video soon. I'm going to find a good stopping place. And as always, let's talk about it in the comments. Thank you to everyone who has already donated to our donation fund and whoever will, donate after watching this one as well. I want to say thank you. I do believe we will create some more change like our friends here at the Unsubscribe podcast have already done. Yeah. All right.
Like that. That's how you can see how bad that will get without, announcing to all the administration, somebody's in doing this. Instead, a person breaks into a elementary school room and destroys the room.
There's a grown-ass man in the school who should not be here.
Yes.
Who has gained access.
Yes, that would be considered an interior threat, which under their own criteria in their fucking manual that they got to write, they should have been on lockdown. And they didn't. Nate.
Which also goes to show you, like, how often does that happen, that's how they handled it so calmly, because the school is connected to a public science museum, if you don't know. And so how often do people just actually accidentally roam into the school that they didn't immediately freak out by that and lock everything down? I just, think about that. Think about that.
Do you think anybody will be held accountable for that?
Well, no, not yet. It's become overwhelmingly apparent to me that the Buffalo District Attorney is not interested in actually getting people in trouble for this, and that the school board is desperately trying to protect themselves, and not all of them. There's multiple people on the school board. I've looked into every member. Half to the slight majority of the school board is actually great people that are involved for the right reasons. There's 3 or 4 people that are piles of shit on that school board.
It's almost like a fraternity of shit.
Wait a sorority.
Or a sorority of shit.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I tried to dig into this, but I can't access the AKA sorority records.
I knew it. This is a whole other issue right here that we're about to get into if we're going into the network of, I just don't even know if I want to open that box. I don't even know. Okay.
Allegedly, I've heard from multiple teachers and employees of Buffalo School District that the superintendent and multiple people on the Buffalo School Board that all vote together and are the ones dragging this out and preventing it so that she can retire are all members of the same sorority. So they're just looking out for each other and not the kids. Allegedly.
Is that the wine guzzler too? Is the wine guzzler one?
I believe so.
What do you know?
Oh my God.
What do you know? The superintendent and the wine guzzler working together. So the wine guzzler who flips off people that are worried about their school and says so on a Zoom meeting, well, she gets to keep her job.
And who is the DA that's completely disinterested in this, by the way?
Oh, what is his name? What the fuck is his name? That guy that got a DUI in 1984? That guy that got a DUI in 1984.
Mike Keene, yeah.
What was it? I believe he was driving under the influence down the wrong lane with no headlights. He then attempted to evade the police. After getting stopped, did a field sobriety test. And then after he failed the field sobriety test, attempt to escape police custody, injuring a police officer in the process. He then, he comes from from what I was able to read, he comes from a very affluent, well-connected family in the area. And he was directly asked by the news when this came out during his election if his father's status had anything to do with the fact that these felony charges for evading cops, injuring a cop, if his dad had anything to do with the fact that those cases were then pleaded down to misdemeanors. I believe he had 90 days of probation or something and a $250 fine. And then the courts actually sealed the records so they couldn't be pulled up against him again. But they accidentally got released during a FOIA request. So they got leaked out anyways.
No, I know that you've never said it. You've never said it, but I've heard people who have, that maybe his daddy's connections were the reason why that didn't turn out worse.
Yeah, I mean, that would kind of make sense.
But that happened in the past. You shouldn't judge somebody off their past.
Wait a second. I get judged off my past all the time.
Wait.
I'm controversial. Guys, you forgot. I made funny videos on the internet. I called a kid fat one time and got in a car accident. I was not, but kind of was, on the Brady list per Channel 2. I'm the guy you shouldn't listen to, and I understand now why the news shit on me all these years for being a bad person. I've learned my lesson. I think I've grown.
Is there a single person in that binder who doesn't have a, I don't know what you would call it, maybe a rocky history?
Not really, no. But I think I've come up with a solution. So I don't have faith that the DA is going to do his job. The Buffalo School Board is going to try to drag this out as long as humanly possible to hoping to God everybody forgets. So my answer to this is I've looked into it. It takes about somewhere between 85 and 110,000 votes to swing a federal election in the state of New York. So if you were a federal law enforcement agency like the FBI and you got 100,000 fucking complaints about the Buffalo school boards emailed to you, do you think maybe the federal government would get involved at that point?
Boy, I couldn't ignore that if I wanted to, if I was a member of the Federal Bureau of Investigation or Attorney General's office. It would be impossible for me to ignore that. In fact, I think I would have to look at it. Considering the volume of complaints, I would have to take that as some sort of serious event that needs an investigation.
You would be a fool not to.
It would be foolish not to, yes.
And you want to be transparent too.
Even if you wanted to cover it up because the government doesn't like holding itself accountable, do you think that the federal level government would spin around and hold a school board and local government accountable, knowing that if they didn't, it would sway an entire federal election?
I think that could be possible. You know, the governor of New York State, Kathy Hochul, actually had a response to the investigation that's going on, well, lack of investigation that's going on in the city of Buffalo. And I'm going to have to pull it up real quickly because I don't want to be misquoted for my governor. I would hate to put words in her mouth.
But this little podcast where people burp and are foul and drink alcohol has brought these allegations to the point where the governor is making a fucking response.
Well, I apologize. It's not the governor. It's the governor's press office. So she's obviously very busy and couldn't comment on the second largest school district in the entire state. Her hometown, actually.
Really?
You know, these things happening, which she's busy. I can understand. So she would have to have her press office make the statement of, it is our understanding that there are active investigations by law enforcement regarding certain allegations, as well as the internal review by the school district, which hasn't happened yet.
Which is a lie because they haven't even announced who's going to start the investigation. So that's not true.
And we await the results of those reviews. So if I'm understanding this correctly, it would be that Governor Kathy Hochul's office, maybe her, because I don't know if they got this to her yet. Hopefully somebody can get it to her, are aware that the ongoing abduction case is still, well, ongoing. But yet they are willing to wait for the Buffalo school systems to complete their own internal investigation, which, Nick, that one investigation from 3 years ago, is that out yet to the public?
The shooting at McKinley High School?
Yeah.
No, that hasn't been released.
Noted.
Neither.
This is the first time I've heard of it.
School shooting? I believe the other investigation regarding the stabbing at Riverside High School, that investigation's results have also never been released.
Okay, so those investigations, although they are ongoing, even though they haven't actually started the investigation currently for that school, even though those ones are done and we've never gotten the results for it, the governor's office is going to wait on the investigation from the Buffalo School District, who's never shared anything about their investigations before, to complete before anything happens. So,
what a hilarious nonsense.
I feel like that's the perfect way to stop. This is chaos. All right. Listen, in the description box of this video, I'm sorry, I'm misquoting, please. They have, you can email, they have some links there, but then they pinned a comment at the top of someone who was able to submit a form for a complaint. And they have, you can literally copy and paste it and send it to the appropriate people. I just want to shout that out in case you are as mortified as I am and you want to take some action. Oh, look, I've commented and you guys are replying on here. It's so funny. Love seeing you pop up. Take the low road. I'm popping in here. I'm popping out. Hey guys. But anyway, I'm going to stop here. I will finish the last, there's a little under 20 minutes on my end. I have stated again and again how important this is to me. And, guys, we gotta fix this. Our children and their futures and their lives and their mental health and their well-being is at stake. Thank you so much for watching me react to this. But again, I think more importantly, to the men of the Unsubscribed podcast for being willing to risk their livelihood and their safety and their reputations by blowing the whistle on this. Talk to me down below in the comments. Again, there's a few days left. It is the 24th of May. We have a week left before I close the donations and send them over to good Lord, I keep forgetting the name. It's gonna stress me out. I just have so much on my mind. The Bury the Violence organization. I will link everything I can and the original video in the description of this video here. And I hope you guys have the day that you deserve. Bye.